Welcome to a brand new episode of the post game. I'm your host, Davion, joined by Matt
What up?
and Oronde.
What up?
And today we are continuing our Let's Talk NFL series, talking about the AFC West. We are going to kick things off talking about I was going to say Oakland, the Las Vegas Raiders. So, I have an opinion about the Raiders and how I think their season would do. How do you guys think the Raiders will do next season?
They have the most to prove, given that's that shameful man at head coach. They get a lot to prove, and them getting rid of Derek Carr is another thing, and then Darren Waller, and then still having beef with Josh Jacobs. So they got a lot to do. They got a lot to make up for.
Yeah, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I think they're gonna be awful. Like I just the free agent moves they made to me weren't that impressive. You get Jimmy G, who I don't know if he's a really big upgrade to Derek Carr, but we'll see because he's always been in that Niners scheme. So um maybe Josh McDaniels can bring him back to the New England way. Who knows? Jacoby Myers, he's just kind of there to help Devontae, which probably isn't bad, but I don't know. And like those are it. Like that's the biggest improvements they made in the free agency. So
So,
Yeah,
I think they'll
as
stink.
it gets.
Honestly, I think they're done. I think they will be last in this division. I think like their window for being good was last season, and Josh McDaniels does not push that needle as a head coach at all. Um, and no shame to Jimmy G because I think he's a manageable quarterback in the league, but play calling will lack. Josh Jacobs doesn't know if he's going to come back or not, so you have to deal with that. And I think it's at this point it's looking real bad for the Raiders. I think they'll be last in the division. I think I think they'll be bottom five, bottom 10,
that's what I think. Bottom five.
and
I think
in
they'll
the
get a top
NFL
five pick.
period. And they're in a terribly hard division. I mean, they're in arguably the hardest division in the NFL, right? And so it's like they probably won't win a single division game because like I mean, you have the Chargers who are.
No, they might be bad, but division games are division games.
You're right. You're right.
Realistically, okay, we can look at their schedule too. Um, like so realistically, they probably have the best shot to beat Denver out of all the division teams. Maybe the Chargers, because the Chargers, like for some reason, struggle with them all the time, but I don't know. Okay, so like if we look, their first game is against Denver, so I think they lose that in Denver. They play the Bills, that's a loss. Pittsburgh,
I mean, I think they can beat Pittsburgh for some reason.
I don't think so.
maybe, but I don't think so because Pittsburgh's defense is so good.
And they're gonna
That's my
Pittsburgh are
only
gonna need
reason.
those wins outside of the division.
Right.
The Raiders are too,
And
but they're not gonna be able to manage that.
then they play the Chargers, that's probably a loss. Packers, that's that's another loss, honestly. Like the Packers have a much better roster than the Raiders. Patriots,
They're not beating the
uh,
Pats.
yeah, they're not beating the
No
Pats.
chance.
They could beat the Bears.
I
I
doubt
could
it.
see that one.
I doubt it.
I don't know. Detroit's gonna beat them. Giants will beat them. Jets will beat them. Dolphins. Oh my God. Chiefs, Vikings. They have a terrible back half of this season. Just great teams.
Speaking of the Raiders, they have the 10th hardest schedule
That
in
makes
strength of
sense.
schedule wise.
Yeah, I mean, from October to like mid-December, they're screwed. Like they might lose every game. Yeah, like realistically, they'll probably get like their floor is probably like 3 wins, 4 wins. Ceiling is like
6.
7, 6. Yeah, something like that. But that's probably not going to happen at all. I don't even think they'll get past 5 wins. So,
I think they're at a point where it's like Okay, so here's the thing. Once they stink this season, once they do, because they will, is Josh McDaniels in the hot seat?
I think he has
Yeah,
one
I
more
mean,
chance because only because what is his name? Mark Davis is not the most ruthless owner.
Mm,
He does appreciate chances, which is like an underrated aspect of being an owner, but at the same time it comes at a detriment to his own team. But
sure.
I think he does have one more shot after this, anyways, as it
right.
is.
I mean, how much did they drop on him? Like, how much did they pay for or sign him for?
Let me pull up his contract because I had it up a moment ago. It was, I think it was a 5-year deal. He makes 10 million a year.
Hmm. And how?
Man.
What, you said a 5-year deal?
I think it's 5.
Sheesh.
Some silly number that they gave him.
And also, like this, we gotta also remember this defense was in the bottom five last year too. Like this defense was awful, and had
They've always been awful.
like they've always been bad. And like, yes, you get Tyree Wilson. He could be a good complement with Max Crosby. We just got to see. But like realistically, this I don't know. This like to me, this team kind of got worse. Getting rid of like just losing Waller in general.
Yeah.
I know it's offensive, but like just losing him in general and Derek Carr, like there's not a lot there. And like you kind of hope that the young guys, like your rookies, develop to be decent. But yeah, that's kind of it for the Raiders. They just need hope and luck at this point to be relevant this year.
Yeah. Listen, there's honest. I would say there's there's more chance than the Chiefs to miss the higher chances that the Chiefs miss the playoffs than them to succeed this year. So I think it's pretty much
So
over.
bad.
So yeah, Josh McDaniels deal is 4 years, 40 mil, and they still owe about 40 mil to I mean not Josh, John Gruden, anyways,
Huge.
from his last contract
Oh
before the
wow,
incident.
wow.
So what are they? What he's going into year 2, right? Josh McDaniels.
Yes.
Awful. That's awful. Anyway, um, I mean, listen, we know what the Raiders are going to give us. We know what we're going to see from them. Any bright spots if you would have to be a Raiders fan? Anything bright on that team, like a good futuristic idea that they have? Because I think it's like a
No.
below average offense. It's a below average defense, and you have a terrible coach. So
I
Your
even
only bright spot is obviously you probably your rookies. Your first two picks and Wilson and is it Michael Myers, correct? The tight end.
yeah,
Yes.
They could be good. That's it.
The tight
If
end's probably their best position on the team aside from Josh
right.
Jacobs.
Yeah, and also like if Josh Jacobs, if they can come to an agreement with him, I feel like he has another good season.
Which we don't have an
Um,
update on because McDaniel
right.
withheld that information.
Which is very concerning. Um, they do have Devontae Adams still. He's still amazing. He's top five to me. Um, Jimmy
Those
G
are
though,
those are their
man, I
fighting
don't
words
know.
to some other wide receivers.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. But um, Jimmy G,
Hunter Renfro's spot's not safe either. That's another big thing,
forgot about him.
which is so
He was so irrelevant last year too. Wow.
it's kind of random
the
though
year before we
because
can throw him up. We could have threw him in the top 10 receiving.
which is
Not that, but
yes,
top
no,
like
he's right.
I mean,
He's right.
I mean,
he was good. No,
easily a top 10 number 2 on the team.
yeah, he was great. Like
So
no, he was a very good second option
Yeah.
like
speaking of
years ago.
receivers, so they converted almost $4 million of Jacoby's deal into signing bonus so they could save some money. And then we also remember that they did sign Marcus Peters this offseason.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're bolstering up the defense. They get Chandler Jones for another season. They still have Max Crosby. They still have not Colton Miller. That's the tackle. I'm thinking of Bilo Nichols. but is
How
like
is that defense bad?
also they have Austin Hooper, which I don't know how
Yeah,
he's
that's.
still in the
I
league.
guess that's their replacement. Yeah.
No offense to Austin. I don't know how he's still in the league. There are better talents out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of feel bad for the Raiders at this point. And
Yeah. Nothing. There's like if you're a Raiders fan right now, you're like, man, we got no hope. Zero hope this season. But so any final things when we're talking about the Raiders? Any final things I wanna hit on about?
Hogwash.
Uh, you're gonna need plenty of patience, Raiders fans. Um, just be ready. It might be ugly for a couple years, but we'll see.
I pulled up their cap. They only have 28 million for next season.
Yeah.
Oh,
About 5 million left for this season. And even down the road in 2 years, they're still in the bottom 10 when it comes to having money. So
wow.
how are they?
Where is their money? Crosby
Crosby? No. As a matter of
Devontae
fact,
probably.
or
it's
Devontae?
it's
Devontae.
first of all, it's Jimmy with 23 million in cap hit. Colton Miller, their tackle, 17. Devontae at 14. Chandler at 14. Hunter at 13. Crosby at
Renfro's
12.
getting 13.
Yes,
Okay,
Renfro's getting 13.
He had that great season, man. He balled
good for
out.
him. No, you're right.
And then
Good for him.
Josh Jacobs is their seventh highest paid player, which he needs to be number one.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
Hunter's deal was 2 years, 32.
So he's gonna.
And
He's.
I
I think
mean,
that was 2 years ago. So
Well, yeah,
they'll definitely.
his extension, yeah, it was 2 years, 32. So he
They're
expires at
definitely
2025.
right. They're definitely gonna have to convert some contracts here.
So
To
because
get something.
obviously they paid Devontae 5 years, 140, which was 65 guaranteed. Crosby's was
Right.
4 years, 94. Jamie's was 3 for 72. Colton's was 3 for 54. So they paid everybody at the top, and it's coming back to bite them already.
I mean, because when you think about it, they did what happened with the Saints. I mean, they had a great season. Well, I think they probably won 10 games. And then they paid everybody. They had to pay everybody. And the Saints did the same thing with Breeze was there. So
You want to know how top heavy their contracts are?
a disaster.
Their kicker is at number 9, 4 years, $18 million. Don't get me
Carlson's
wrong.
nice.
Carlson has won me a game or two in fantasy, but for him to be your 9th highest paid player on their payroll, and you
Where's
have
Max
other
Crosby?
problems.
Where's
Crosby
Max
is
Crosby
second.
at now? Okay. Good. That would have been crazy. Okay.
This is getting real silly.
It is. Anywho, any final thoughts when we're talking about the Raiders?
And their ceiling is 7 wins. Their floor is 0.
0. They don't win a single game.
Larry, could you imagine? Could you imagine being a football fan and your team wins 0 games?
Hey, look the Browns, right? Didn't they have 0?
Talk to Dan Orlovsky about it.
Bro,
Yeah.
I would cry every day.
Hey, they could be fighting for that number 1 pick for that.
I think they are like top 5 in odds for number 1 pick.
Right. So maybe there's a new QB in their future. You never know. But
yeah, they need more than the QB for that. Anyway, well, yeah, appreciate you guys for listening. Oronde, Matt, thank y'all for joining me today. I've been your host, Davion, and this has been the post game. Peace.